local television network TSPN. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back to segment 3 of Authors, Writers, Books and Beyond. And tonight's show is about journalism and all the changes in it. And you have 2 wonderful journalists here. I hope you're really gleaning something from this. I really feel sad we don't have a open audience with a Q&A, because I think that would have really been wonderful tonight. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit before we get back to the really important people about my fingernails. I own Nail Salon. Actually, it's a wonderful place run by a husband and wife team, Andrew and Lisa, and Andrew's sister and Lisa's sister. And I go there, and they take these little worn down hands and make them something pretty. So you can go and, yeah, there's my finger on there. They do those lovely artistic things. I prefer mine plain, but I got to tell you, after I've been at the computer 12 hours going and getting a pedicure, and that thing is heaven. So give them a try. It's a wonderful family-owned establishment, and I think you'll enjoy the quality of the service and the friendship there. And I'm going to get back to the important reason why we're here, and that is, could you kind of backtrack to the 3 minutes off are always the best part of my show. So could you guys kind of go back a little and go back over what you were just discussing? You were mentioning the book.
I think it was more complaining about the
yeah, well, that too. But you're allowed that, right?
So, and it's only because we believe in this profession so much, too.
Because of your passion.
Yeah, and when it works, and just reading other people's stuff, when it really hits home, it can do great things. It can facilitate change. It can put necessary information and decision-making powers in the hands of, the mainstream public, which I think is crucial. So
you're trying to prepare people to confront a really difficult life we live, right? And give
it's not that. I mean, it's not that difficult. I feel like I go to work every day and I get to parachute into people's lives and learn a little bit about who they are and write about it and then go on to the next thing. It's kind of like Kane from Kung Fu, you go from town to town having adventures. But yeah, it's not, you don't go into it to...
It can be very addictive for sure, but there's the other side of it too, though. Another side of it being that it's supposed to be a civic alarm system.
That's right.
It's supposed to be a front line for... What did I say at my talk? That old Latin warning from the 3rd century, which I can't say it in Latin, but translate to who watches the watchers.
Who watches the watchers.
And so what we're seeing now with the newsrooms getting smaller and smaller, and Raheem and I you could probably count on 2 hands the number of professional crime reporters in the Sacramento region, he and I being 2 of them.
On 2 hands.
I think so.
Whoa.
Who specialize in it?
Yeah, probably actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually quite shocking for the size of
that. And we've just seen the bee lose one of its best, and then transfer one of its best. So it's not, but my point being, as newsrooms get smaller and smaller, and there's fewer and fewer of us working professionally, I feel like there's a playing field now where these very well-funded public agencies and some corporate entities can say almost anything they want to say and say it unchecked. And when they have more public information specialists and public information officers and newspapers have reporters, there's a certain Orwellian aspect to that I think is pretty disturbing.
I would hope people would think it is a little disturbing.
I don't know that the public really knows that's going on either. I think that's something that isn't really a narrative that's really out there in the public right now.
We're outnumbered is what's got.
Yeah, how completely outmatched we are in bodies and resources.
And you've probably had this experience sometimes reading a story where you'll see a statement from a public official or some bigwig, and you'll know it's, I'll use a different term, not completely on the up and up, but it goes unchallenged in the article, either because the reporter's handling 7 different things, or just didn't dig in, didn't know to dig in, doesn't have the institutional knowledge of that beat to know when someone's maybe not telling them the full truth. And as a news consumer, I find that upsetting, because you know just how many people read the news and rely on it. So even the little bit we're getting, if it's not really being scrutinized to the degree that it should be, that's a big issue as well.
That's a big issue.
I don't even know how you'd quantify at this point the loss of institutional knowledge with the amount of beat reporters that have filed out of our profession in the last 5 years.
Can you kind of put a percentage on that for me?
I'd be irresponsible. I don't have a figure. I can tell you it's bleak.
That pretty much says it.
But kids go into journalism. It's a great profession.
That's really what we're
Shockingly,
Scott does too. I mean, we both work with interns, and I think there's
I was going to ask
there's
that.
little that's more satisfying than working with someone and seeing kind of the light go on in their eyes and just catch a glimpse of why this field is important and what they can contribute to it.
Do you see a positive direction in the future?
well,
There's always the potential.
We're hoping.
Always.
I'm hoping that technology saves it somehow. Comes up with financial models and delivery systems that work. Maybe I don't know that it'll ever be what it was in terms of the number of investigative reporters who work professionally. That world may be gone forever. But if we could just get a little bit more back in that direction,
I think smarter minds, richer minds, definitely than ours, are trying to figure out a model that works.
Some of the best tech entrepreneurs in the world are really taking a stake in it now.
There have been some interesting startups in the world of online investigative journalism. Not one has really hit its mark yet, but there are people trying things, and that's, I think, a glimmer.
Are you two pretty much going to stay in the Sac area where you are planted now? Are you open to moving on?
Well, one thing I like about technology is you can do national reporting
From your home base.
from anywhere now. The Shadow People and the Cutting 4Ps are national projects. Big national journalism projects that I had to travel for them, and I was lucky. I had a major grant that helped a lot with that for Shadow People. But nonetheless, there was a way to do those projects with a home base in the Sacramento area. So.
Are grants still available in the same way?
Yeah, there are some. Yeah.
Like the one that you...
Like the one I had, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Raheem?
In terms of leaving Sacramento, I'm open to. This is such a knock-around profession, but Sacramento has been my home for such a long time that it's kind of wormed its way into my soul. So it's the idea of leaving is hard, but I would never say no to something that's scary, because that usually tells you it's the right decision to make.
Yeah.
Sacramento's a great town for training young journalists, though. It'd be hard to think of a better town because of the state capitol, because of the committee meetings being public and right there, because of the votes being public and right there, and it's got enough of a restaurant scene, enough of a music scene, and enough of a, they're not major scenes compared to cities like, New Orleans.
But it's pretty nice.
But it's nice. It's enough that a young reporter can kind of learn a skill set.
Yeah.
There's enough happening in the Sacramento region that a young reporter could learn a skill set around writing from everything from theater to food and wine to politics or crime, for that matter.
There's actually a lot more than, because I'm older than you, when I wanted to go in that direction, there is a lot more there now. I think that I chose raising children over that, which I'm shocked, because I was set on it. But to hear there's more coming up out of the regional area. Your interns, are they from the colleges?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did most of them come from? What colleges?
Obviously my newsrooms are based in South Placer, so most of them come from Sierra College or Folsom Lake. But
our last batch was mostly UC Davis students, and our copy editor just put out the notice looking for interns now, so I believe he's going through applications. But yeah, we've gotten a lot of community college, even who aren't necessarily interns, but maybe work as stringers. Out of
the JCs?
Yeah.
What about AR?
They've got great teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's where I went.
They've got great journalism teachers, Kel Munger.
Yeah. We've had a few from AR do some writing for us. And Kel, who's still writes editorials for us.
Okay.
And there's AR is starting to. They're working on I don't know if it's monthly or every other monthly, but they're working on having a speaker series specifically for journalism students that the public can come attend to if they're interested. And they're trying to get that off the ground right now,
And
which I think that's great. It's really interesting. They're just trying to get the younger students on the campus engaged in public life.
And they've got a good college paper.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
I went there a long time ago. My daughter went there before she went to Sac State. And before we break, it's almost time, I was going to ask you, is that included journalism in their summer words?
I've been asked to speak at Summer Words a couple times, and it was about literary
Good.
journalism, which so that's something that I like about Sacramento News and Review. Still has that as sort of part of their approach. So I try to have that as part of the Press Tribune's approach. So
Wonderful.
that's rare,
Yeah.
even more rare now. So.
Well, we're going to wrap up with the next segment, so come back and see us, and I'd really like you to talk more. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was going to chat. I was going to talk to you for a little bit. I don't want to take a lot of their time in the last segment because I think what they have to say to you is so much more important than anything I have to say. This is your big opportunity. So I'm going to wind down real quick here. I was saving this for the end, but I'm going to do this now because I kind of like the guys to take over the final segment. Scott has a workshop on May 23rd, Saturday, May 23rd, in San Andreas at 10 a.m. at the Arts Center. And then he is speaking. He has a public talk at 3 o'clock after that at the old courthouse there in San Andreas.
On Main Street, yeah.
And that's through Manzanita Writers Press and Monica Rose?
Yeah, it's another public talk and book launch for the Cutting Floor piece
Okay.
where I'll be talking about
The details.
the details of the book and doing a Q&A.
And the Q&A is real important.
Right, and it may be the last talk like that for the book in the Central Gold Country.
So try and make it. I only have 10 seconds left, but I'd really like to encourage you to at least come to that Q&A. We'll see you in a little bit. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. I wanted to do that.
You're watching your local television